Let's mix up all the different things you can do with fractions. Okay, so here BEDMAS is going to be really important. And remember, we're going to add in extra brackets where necessary. Okay, I'm going to do that straight up. I'm going to say there's a plus. Plus is something I deprioritize. And I will add on my square brackets just to make sure I understand I've got to multiply this 1/3 by whatever that answer is, because brackets come first, before I add on the quarter. So copy and paste the 1/4. Copy and paste the plus. Right, I'm not going to get very far with this at this stage, but let me see. 1/3 times. Right, let's get this guy going. I need an LCD between 5 and 10, which will be 10. Okay. 4/5, I need to multiply by 2/2 to get it over 10, so that is 8, plus that was just over 10, so we're good. Okay, I'll be able to drop brackets quite soon. And so let me copy and paste the 4, copy and paste the plus, copy and paste the 1/3, and go times by 9/10. Okay, you see I've dropped my smaller brackets. Alright, more copying and pasting for now. Let's do the 1/3 times 9/10. I can go 9/30, but what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to say 3 goes into itself once and into 9 3 times. And then I'm going to multiply what I've got left over. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 10 is 10. Okay, and now of course I've got to find another LCD. Right, 10 doesn't work. Let's go up in multiples of our biggest number. 20, yes, 20 will work. 4 goes into 20. Okay, 4 goes into 20 5 times. Isn't it amazing how often times tables come up in this section? And it's going to be plus. This goes twice, so the top also has to be multiplied by 2. 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, so that is 11/20. And with all of these questions, please do check on the calculator, but type in really carefully. Typing errors are real in this section. Okay, right. Now we're going to mix it up with some brackets, and I'm going to be using powers. Okay, this negative, don't multiply it in. Do not do it. Okay, what you need to do is you need to apply the powers first and leave the negatives till the end. Negative 1/2 Okay, so I am also cubing the negative. Negative times a negative times a negative is a negative. Right, now I can say 1 cubed and 2 cubed. Okay, leaving some space to make myself very aware of what's going on. And this needs to be converted. Okay, so that's 2 times 2, which is 4, plus 1 is 5, over 2, and it's negative. I'm going to give the negative to the numerator, and that's going to get squared. Okay, so what's happening here? We already know it's going to be negative, or I could have written that as -1/2, and then I could have bracketed that and bracketed that, just showing you an alternative way of writing. Still going to keep this negative on the outside because it can't be applied until I've done the brackets and I've done the exponents according to BEDMAS. Okay, so 1/3 is just 1. 2/3 is 8. Okay, and that was negative, remember. Okay, because it's going to be negative, or I could even see this as -1 to the power of 3 is -1. So now I have -1/8. More about that just now. Here I'm going to have -5 squared. Negative squared is a positive. Let me just put a plus in there, but I don't have to. 5 squared is 25. And remember that the 2 is going to get squared as well. Okay, so now I've dealt with the squares, so let's see what I'm left with here. I'm now going to have negative times a negative, which is positive, 1/8. And here I've got negative times positive, which is negative. Note how I'm keeping it in the top, in the numerator. 25/4. Okay, that LCD is quite an easy one. I'm going to make it over 8. So it'll be 1 as it was, minus Remember, this guy's got to multiply by 2 over 2, so that's going to be minus 50 over 8. My answer then will be negative 49 over 8. This last example is quite tricky because you've got fractions being added, you've got mixed number adding to whole number. It's quite a big mess. And the only way I'm going to make this doable is to just treat everything separately and then put it together at the end. Okay, so let me just deal with that numerator. Okay, so I've got a half plus a third. Okay, that's fine. Nice, huge, right? Absolutely massively for a question like this. A half plus a third, I need to find an LCD. That part's all right. It'll be 6. And then I'm going to multiply by 3 over 3 there and by 2 over 2 here. Okay, so that's going to be 3 plus 2 all over 6. Okay, I'm going to keep the brackets there for now. For my denominator, I can't even budge until I've changed this 5 and a third into a improper fraction. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16, so it's 16 over 3. You know what, one of the rules I like to work with is when you're dealing with fractions, just make everybody a fraction. Let's make that 3 over 1, because then I can see that they don't both have a 3 in the denominator. This one's 3 is in the numerator, this one's 3 is in the denominator. Okay, so let's clean up the top here. 3 plus 2 is 5 over 6. I'm going to drop the brackets now because they're unnecessary. At the bottom, I've still got more work to do. Okay, what's my LCD? Well, I've got 3 and 1, so it has to be 3, right? Okay, which one is the main fraction line? That one. I'm going to go make it extra thick and messy, just so that I remember what's going on here. This is my big fraction line, and within that, I've got a fraction over a fraction. Okay, so it's 16 over 3, but what is 3 over 1 converted to something over 3? Well, I've got to multiply it by 3 over 3, which is going to be 9. Okay, so I've got 5 over 6, big fraction line, over 25 over 3. Now what? Well, remember that a fraction line is a divide line. So I'm going to tip and times. This is actually, I'll add in an extra step which is unnecessary. This is actually 5 over 6 divided by 25 over 3. But you can go straight to this step, which is 5 over 6 times 3 over 25. And here I can do cross cancelling. Okay, I really don't want to be multiplying 6 by 25 in my head. Let's say 5 goes into itself once, into 25 5 times. 3 goes into itself once and into 6 twice. And now I'll get an answer that I can work with. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 5 is 10. And remember, you can always check and should always check your answer on the calculator.